welcome back to the Piston Show. I'm Cashy Dylan, and today we have here with us the Jaecoo J7. It's hugely popular, but why? So there are two variants available. This is the four-wheel drive variant, which costs 148,800 ringgit. There's also the two-wheel drive variant, which costs 20,000 ringgit lesser. And then the platform is basically the same platform as the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, which is not surprising because Jaecoo is a sub-brand of Chery. So this is supposed to be the more luxurious brand as compared to Chery. Well, at 148,800 ringgit, it has a lot to offer. But in this video, I kind of want to explore why is the Jaecoo J7 so popular, because we seem to see it almost everywhere, in KL at least. Now, I can sort of understand why, because it's definitely a good-looking car. Now, good-looking is always subjective, but the design of the car is so unusual that you can't help yourself but to turn and look at it. Now, it has some interesting color schemes as well. This silver/blue hue kind of thing looks really good. But then they also have another color that is just slightly lighter than olive green. I can't remember what they call it. Undoubtedly, from any angle, it's a good-looking car. So in this video, I want to explore why the J7 is so popular. But as usual, guys, a quick acknowledgement of our sponsor. We'll be back in 60 seconds. This video is brought to you by Berjaya Sompo Insurance. Get Sompo Motosafe by Berjaya Sompo. The less you drive, the less you pay. It's that simple. Choose from 3 different mileage plans with affordable premiums to fit your driving needs. Perfect for those who drive occasionally. Plus, enjoy extra perks like unlimited towing, 100% special perils, and all driver coverages. Ready to drive smart and save big? Switch to Sompo Motosafe today. Head over to Berjaya Sompo Insurance and start saving now. So thanks for sticking around. Do consider Berjaya Sompo when you're renewing your insurance. They help you save money, they give you extensive coverage, and they also have special perils coverage as well. So do check out our sponsor, Berjaya Sompo. Anyway, Jaecoo J7. As I was saying, the design is very unlike anything else, and I like it. Now, these are your daytime running lights over here. Very, very cool. These are your stacked headlights, and check out the placement of the fog lights over there. Very nice. I think this is very unlike any other car. It's very original. Now, these vertical grills as well, they seem very dominating, right? And I like the overall look and feel of the car in general. Now, there have been a lot of references to Range Rover when it comes to the Jaecoo J7, but I don't see it. I don't see Range Rover. Perhaps 2 panels. Let me show you. So as far as the references to Range Rover are concerned, well, maybe the squarish side mirrors, the ones on the Range Rover are bigger though, but square, no doubt. And then we have this panel over here. So this I can sort of see a little bit of Range Rover. And then perhaps this light strip over here with Jaecoo just sort of embedded inside this plastic panel. Sort of Range Rover / Porsche-ish. But besides that, I don't see any references to Range Rover. And definitely not in terms of size. So, I mean, looks are always subjective, right? So some people might see it, some people may not see it. I, for one, don't see it. But since we are at the back here, you get 417 liters of storage space. You also get the all-important tonneau cover, and you get a full-size spare tire. Very, very important. So as far as livability and practicality goes, it's definitely a big boot that you get. And I particularly like that you get small cubby holes at the side here, over here, and you get hooks at the side as well. So these are great in terms as far as practicality is concerned. So let's check out the engine. But I would just like to point out that I appreciate the fact that the J7 comes with gas struts at this price point. Very rare. Most of the time, some of the other competitors from Japan will sort of just, most of them omit the gas struts. Anyway, powering the J7 is a 1.6 litre engine, 4 cylinders, making 194 horsepower and 290 Newton meters of torque. Power is sent to either all 4 wheels or 2 wheels depending on the variant that you opt for, and transmission, sending the power to the wheels, is a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Now, as far as performance figures are concerned, it does the 0 to 100 in about 9.9 seconds, whereas the two-wheel drive variant does it in about 9.2. I'm guessing that the two-wheel drive variant accelerates quicker because it's lighter. Top speed, on the other hand, for both vehicles is rated at 180 kilometers per hour. Now, the all-important fuel consumption figure is quite interesting because the all-wheel drive variant can travel 7.7 kilometers per litre, whereas the two-wheel drive variant does 7 kilometers per litre. And interestingly, you get 7 different driving modes to sort of tune the way that the engine feels, the way the traction control reacts to the surfaces and the gearbox, and generally the overall feel of the car. I've been driving this car for a couple of days and never moved past normal and sport mode. The interior of the car is really nice, and I can see a couple of references to Volvo and Range Rover in here. Range Rover, perhaps this Jaecoo branding on the steering wheel over here, as well as the design of the seats, very broad, particularly the headrests, very Range Rover. And then these air conditioning vents, these vertical air conditioning vents, very Volvo. Not a bad thing. Anyway, the entire interior is just simply dominated by this vertically mounted screen over here. I mean, here's my palm as a reference, and it's just huge. It's really, really big. But after a couple of days of driving this car, you sort of get used to it. Because when you drive, you're sitting like this, and sometimes you rest your palm over here. And this gives you sort of access to all your air conditioning controls and such. But then again, it does not beat having physical buttons, because physical buttons just make it so much easier to control all the necessary features such as air conditioning. And even answering the phone calls and such, because your hand is just not too far away from the screen, so you can just sort of just reach over and answer your phone call. And in case you spend too much time looking at the screen, there is a sensor over here. I'm guessing this works, this is attention alert sensor or something like that, that keeps an eye on your eyes and where you're looking. So if you look away from the screen, from the road ahead for just more than 3 seconds, it's going to prompt you and tell you, hey, look straight. Anyway, this screen gives you all the access to all of the key controls of the car, every single thing, down from the ambient lights, all 64 of them, and everything else, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation, everything is done through here. This thing over here though, this is how you select your drive modes. Now, I think this should have been something sort of like the volume control knob or air conditioning knob or such, because having quick access to driving modes,
normal mode,
I think it's just not as necessary. That one can be a 2-step, but air conditioning controls should have been over here or down over here as far as control knobs are concerned. And then up ahead over here, there is another digital screen. This is basically your instrument panel, your instrument cluster. So your speed, your RPM, your fuel gauge, everything. But the thing about Chinese car makers is that they have a tendency of providing too much information with the instrument cluster over here. So even right now, is just giving me too much information. And there's sort of some graphics over there that looks like a moon from a different galaxy. I'm not sure why that is there. I would have liked a more straightforward, simplistic display that just gives me the bare necessities. Up ahead is you get your heads-up display. It's colorized, very nice. And as far as fit, finish, and quality is concerned, it's just top notch. At 148,800 ringgit, I think this is brilliant, and I understand why people love this car, because as soon as you step in here, you're like, wow, this is nice. Because if you step in the competition, say the Toyota Corolla Cross, the Honda HR-V, the Proton X50, this has them in a chokehold because it's just brilliant. It is fantastic for this price range, and it feels really good in here as well. It feels premium. It feels much more expensive than what it really is. Now I want to jump behind, but before I do that, I'd just like to take your attention to the chunky gear knob over here, which looks really good. It feels really good as well. I mean, operating it is so simple. I mean, Proton can learn from this. For example, D, P, N, R, all in a single movement. Proton, you have to do it twice, do it... nonsense. This is so much nicer. Anyway, as far as trimming is concerned, you get this soft touch trim over here with some graphics ingrained in it. This is really good. This as well, this panel over here looks expensive. And then you have the door panel over here that just looks like it can survive a bomb blast. It looks fantastic. Now we jump behind. Now, this is the first time I'm sitting at the back over here throughout this couple of days that I've been driving this car, and as far as first impressions are concerned, this is just wow. This is a nice place to be, guys. I mean, the seats are comfortable, the amount of leg room there is, because this front seat is adjusted according to my driving style, and I still get a fist full of room between my knee and the seat. Get plenty of headroom. The seats are a bit wide though, they're a bit chunky in that sense, so this sort of hinders your forward view. So if you suffer from motion sickness and such, this might be an issue, but there's nothing just tilting your head cannot fix. And then of course you get a rather large side mirror, and this allows more light inside here. But curiously, you only get one single air conditioning vent over here. Now this is quite big, but because there's only one vent, so it's either you or your co-passenger that has to fight for the air conditioning vent. Why would Jaecoo do that? Interesting. Anyway, you get twin USB ports as well, one type A, one type C, and you also get ISOFIX mounts, the all-important ISOFIX mounts. So you just sort of slide this cover up here, and the ISOFIX mount is just at the back there. Very clever. Anyway, as far as the back seats are concerned, comfortable, nice place to be, spacious. What else could you want? When it comes to the driving dynamics of the J7, this is where I truly understand why people actually like this car. Because it's a very easy and comfortable car to drive. The suspension does a brilliant job at soaking everything up. Like I'm about to go over some dips and ruts, and it absorbs everything really, really well. In fact, I'm quite surprised at how Jaecoo managed to find the near perfect balance of comfort as well as good handling, because when you take a corner like this sharp U-turn left-hander, there's very little body roll, and then at the same time the suspension is soft and supple. So this is like the equilibrium, the holy equilibrium, I'll call it that, the very fine point where the suspension is just soft and yet allows the car to handle really well by minimizing body roll. So I think Jaecoo has done a brilliant job over there as well. And besides that, the refinement levels in here is fantastic. It's for a car of this price range, I think it's just absolutely brilliant. Now, this is partially achieved through the use of double glazed windows or double panel windows. This sort of absorbs all the noises before it's transferred into the cabin inside. But then keep in mind that you have a huge panoramic roof as well, so the refinement levels in here is exemplary for other car makers. But there are two things that I wish could be better though. One is the power delivery of the J7, because there are times where it sort of feels underpowered. Now, I know that is a very strong word to use, but I can't put it any other way, because if I put my right foot down right now, it just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere very quickly. And the engine sounds spirited, but it just, I don't know, I would have liked a little bit more shove in the back. Now, it's okay when you're starting from a standstill, that's fine, and sometimes the power surge does tend to light up the tires. However, you really feel like you could do with a little bit more power, especially when you're overtaking, merging into traffic, or crossing an intersection. That is when you need that immediate power. And that's where I found that J7 was lacking just a little bit. Now, the other thing that I wish could be better as well is the handling of the car, or rather the steering feel of the J7, because there is just a dull spot right in between. You don't feel very connected, and when you sort of just judder the wheel a little bit to left and right like this, there's nothing. It does not respond. The wheels do not turn, and that is where you feel sort of isolated from the wheels. I know that I'm probably picking on bones over here, because the regular car driver will probably not mind this, but after driving hundreds of cars, I sort of tend to pick up on small things such as this. Now, when you go just driving regularly, you're taking this corner, this smooth right-hander over here, you don't feel it, and I'm sure the regular person will not feel it as well. But I would have liked to feel a little bit more connected to the wheels. Cars like the Mazda CX-5, or perhaps any Mazda for that matter, and even Hondas for that matter, you feel like the steering wheel is alive and sort of like an extension of your body. But not here though. And I think this is the one part that the two parts that the J7 can improve on. But besides that, I truly understand why people really like driving the J7, because it's a very pleasant experience. You get a nice interior, you get a huge screen that gives you access to wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You get a really nice sound system, and overall the experience is just fantastic. You also get a colorized heads-up display. Now, it's just impossible to fault this car besides the two that I've already mentioned. And not is it only a great car, but it's also covered with an extensive warranty program. So if you buy the Jaecoo J7 now, you'll get a 7-year or 150,000 kilometer warranty on the car. And on the engine, basically the powertrain, you get a 10-year or 1 million kilometer warranty. That is the icing on a very nice cake. So guys, the Jaecoo J7, totally understand why it's so popular. It has everything that you would want in a car of this price range, as well as in this segment. So let me know what you think about the Jaecoo J7 in the comments section below, and what the competition needs to do to catch up with it. Thank you for watching. As usual, do consider subscribing.